Hey everybody, welcome back to Heart Breathings. So my publishing schedule here on Heart Breathings has gotten a little bit off track. I had this set of series videos that were going really well, and then once I got really deep into Publish and Thrive and Evie's birthday coming up and everything else that was going on, I got a little bit off track and sidelined. So you may have noticed that my videos are not going up every single Thursday or Sunday like they typically do. So what better time to pop in with a video of how to get yourself back on track when you've kind of gone off the beaten path or you're feeling like your plan is spiraling out of control. So this is adjacent to a suggested video this morning when I asked for ideas over in my Instagram stories. If you are not following me over on Instagram, I do daily stories and I would love for you to come join us. But thank you, Bethany, for this suggestion, and let's get into it. Okay, so when you have things go wrong, there's a number of reasons why you might be getting off track, or maybe you've had to stop for an extended period of time. Usually it's because literally your life just went off track. Something happened in your life, a huge major pandemic took over the world, your son didn't go back to school like you planned, or there's an illness in the family, or you just weren't feeling up to it, or you had a chronic illness or some kind of thing you're dealing with. There are tons of reasons, emotional and just practical, why you might have gotten off track. It may also be a case of you just sort of changed your priorities, or your plan shifted in some way, or maybe you took a little detour because you followed someone's advice and you found out later that it didn't really resonate with who you are, and now you kind of want to get back to your own plan for your own life. It's also possible, and this is what frequently happens to me, that you put too much on your plate for the time you actually had available. And I find that this is one of the biggest struggles. No matter how much I tend to plan better and better every quarter, I still put too much on my plate for the time I have available or for the season of life that I'm in with a young child. So I consistently struggle with this. The question is, how do you get back on track? How do you reclaim that positive momentum once you've kind of slowed down or have hit a bump in the road? So I'm going to give you 4 things to do and then 4 things not to do. Okay, first tip for getting back on track is to clean and declutter. And I am talking about your physical space. So I find that the more things tend to go into chaos. Like right now, I even showed this on my stories this morning too. I have kind of stuff everywhere, and it's definitely not the worst it's ever been. But if you could see the floor over here, whatever's happening over here is just not good. I have a baby in the house, and in order to get my work done, sometimes I have to just let her like pull stuff out of drawers and make a mess, because otherwise she is just not going to give me the time that I need. And maybe that's bad momming, but sometimes it's like survival mode, right? So my office is a bit of a mess and I need to get it cleaned up. And I know for myself that even if I don't have time to clean up my entire house and the closet and everything else, I do know that the messier my like creative space or planning space gets, the more I start to feel like I'm out of control. So clean and declutter, even if it's just your desk area or your immediate like space where you can plan and have an organized, clean space for yourself. While you're doing this cleaning and decluttering, by the way, you can also be listening to some motivational music and shifting your energy. I've talked about energy shifting before on this channel and on Instagram, and I hope that I can put out a little bit more about energy shift coming up soon, but I think this is such a key component. Clean and declutter in and of itself is going to shift your energy of your space and your just mental health as well. But it also helps to listen to someone inspirational, listen to some music and start moving your body a little bit. It makes such a big difference. Even just like 10 minutes of a quick declutter of your desk and listening to a couple of your like favorite dance music type tunes can really make a huge difference in how you feel and whether you're ready to get going. One warning here though is don't get so caught up in the decluttering and cleaning that you spend like weeks trying to get your office perfect, because cleaning and decluttering for some of us can also be a form of procrastination. So give yourself a deadline into as far as how long you're going to give yourself to declutter, like an hour or 20 minutes or one single day, but don't let it stretch out because you're here to get back on track. The second thing I want you to do is check in begin with your big vision. And by big vision, I mean, who are you in this life? How do you want to show up? What is it you really most want to accomplish? Big questions like, what do you believe you were put on this earth to do? And this type of thing is something some people do. I know I check in with my big vision once every quarter through my HB90 system. And I love that. I love checking in 4 times a year. Some people do it like at the end of the year, and it's that one big time that you really think about your life. And some of you may have never done this because maybe that big vision of who you want to be in this world scares the crap out of you. And I totally understand that too. But take a moment and check in with this big vision. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what is working for me in my life right now? What do I love about my life? Number 2, what isn't working? What is draining my energy? What is keeping me from being creative? What is keeping me from my big dreams? What's totally not working? Maybe what's working is that you've really got a good morning routine and you just love the time you're spending with your family. But maybe what's not working is that you know you're spending way too much time on toxic social media, arguing with people online, you're reading too much news, you're not getting outside enough, you're not moving, maybe you're eating a bunch of junk food all the time and it's just making you feel tired. Whatever it is for your personal situation, really sit down and answer those 2 questions to start. What's working? What do you love about your life? What's not working? What do you most want to change about your life? And then the third question is where kind of the big vision comes in. And that is, what do I really want my life to be? What do I want to get accomplished in this world? What are my biggest goals and visions in my life? Now, this is a little bit tricky because I know for some people that can make you feel a little bit more anxiety, but use this as a dreaming exercise. So if you start to feel anxiety when you start thinking about those big visions and you start to feel those negative self-talk things come in, like you're never going to have that life, you're not worthy of it, or whatever might come up for you, then just start smaller and start with one thing. I know I want to be an author. I know I want to have a YouTube channel. And think of that one big goal that you're thinking of in the future. The point of looking at your big vision is because I highly believe that we go where we're pointed. So when you feel out of control and you're off track and you're watching the news and you're listening to what other people are doing, it's very easy to just feel like you're a hamster on a wheel, or that you're on one of those like playground swings or whatever you call them, like the merry-go-rounds, where you just swing around and around and around. That is what our lives can look like. We don't know where to turn. We don't know where our attention is. And that is one of the main things that makes us feel completely out of control. And it makes us kind of whatever's pulling at our attention at any given time is where our attention and focus goes, which means we're not on track. We're not taking control of our time. We're not making our goals come true. So when you set that big vision, ideal vision for your life, that's when you start to basically put yourself in the right direction. You point yourself here and you say, this is where I want to go. And then you use that as your GPS system. So every day when you wake up and you start to think about what you're going to do today, you check in with that vision and you say, is this going to get me there or not? Is this going to move me even the tiniest step closer? Or is this just like spreading me too thin and pointing me towards things that don't matter? If this type of big vision work appeals to you, please come join us in the HB90 course. We start a week from today, actually. And so this subject is very timely because I love quarterly planning. I set in my intentions every single quarter. I reset my Kanban board, which you can kind of see over here. And I do this exact process every single quarter. And it's like having that new year excitement and motivation and fresh start 4 times a year. So if you're looking for that in your own life, come join us. We start a week from today and it's a full week-long course. And you get lifetime access and a whole community and weekly posts from me like every single week for years and years to come. So come join us. Or if you don't want to make the investment for the entire HB90 course right now, my Q4 planner just went up and it is actually 20% off for the next week. So check that out. The links will be down below. The big vision work is so vital because so often when we have all these little details that feel like they're suffocating us or overwhelming us, it just clears out all the mess and allows us to focus in on what's truly important, what our real priorities are in life. The third thing that I want you to do then is to start to make that plan for how you're going to start moving forward. Because once you've sort of cleaned up your space and you've checked in with your big vision and you know what you want and you've pointed yourself in the right direction, the next big step for yourself is coming up with a plan for how to get back into action. My business mentor, Amber McHugh from Freshly Implemented, talks about your $100 bills. And basically these are the things that you do in your life that are not the dollar bill things that are like admin work or posting to Instagram. This is the $100 bills. What are your big projects that are actually going to move the needle and get you going again? For me right now, my $100 bill, number one $100 bill is finishing my book. I've been working on it for 2 years. I haven't had a new main series release in 2 years. And I know to get back on track, that book is the number one main priority. So once you've checked in with your big vision, check in with those $100 bills. What types of activities or things can you get done that are going to move the needle for you, are going to actually make progress? It might be that you're going to finish the book. It might be that you're going to finally get your website done. It might be that you're going to clean your whole house and start fresh. It might be that you're going to start exercising or you're going to start eating right. It could be anything, and every single person watching this might have a different idea of what moving the needle looks like for you. But basically, you look out at your ideal vision for your life and then you think, what's the next step I can take from where I am right now that is going to make me feel successful in moving toward that big vision? And that's what you start to focus on right now. So the next step, once you know what your big project is, what's your main focus for getting back on track, what's going to move the needle and make you feel successful, you need to take that project and break it down into tiny actionable steps. So for example, I know I want to finish writing this book, so I'm going to sit down and make a plan for how to go from where I am right now to a finished rough draft. So that's going to mean fixing the second act part that I don't like. So I've got an outline wall out here. I have all these stickies that have each scene written. I'm going to pull those stickies off and I'm going to rework that second act that I don't like. And that's step one, because I need to know where the story's going in order to write it. Step two for me is going to be looking at what I have in my current rough draft and deciding what I'm keeping and what I'm throwing out. Step three is to get to writing. So then I'll make a plan for how many words I need to write to finish the rough draft. So how many words do I need to write per day? Then in addition to how many words to write per day, I'm going to decide how much time and what time of day I'm going to write. So make that plan for where, when, and how you're going to get that plan executed, whatever the next steps are for you. How are you going to get it done? And be specific about it and be realistic about where it's going to actually fit into your schedule. So those are the 4 steps that you want to do. Number 1, clean and declutter your space. Number 2, check in with that big vision and ask yourself what's working, what's not working, and what can I do now to take control of the situation. Number 3, refocus on the activities that are going to actually make you feel successful and move the needle toward that big vision. Number 4, break that project or whatever that big thing is you want to get done into tiny actionable steps. It's so much simpler when you attack it from this order, and I promise you it's going to help you get back on track. 4 quick things to not do. Number 1, don't try to suddenly triple the work that you're doing. So a lot of times for me in my past, when I have gotten behind or I feel like I'm off track, the number 1 thing I have tried to do is hustle harder, work harder, which means sometimes saying, well, I normally write only 1,000 words a day, but I'm going to write 5,000 words a day because I got to get this book done. And it seems like it's great. Yes, I'm going to push myself harder. I'm going to make myself do it. But what actually happens is we push ourselves into burnout, and chances are the reason you got off track and fell behind in the first place is because you're busy, or you're going through an emotional time, or you're going through a rough time of some kind. So to take yourself right now and basically be like, I'm going to whip myself into shape and become the best version of myself overnight is just unrealistic. And what that leads to is really self-sabotage, that you say, I'm going to write twice as many words as normal. I'm going to triple my efforts. And you can't really force yourself to do that, because if you could force yourself to do it, you would have done it a year ago. Am I right? Instead, take it slow. Create that plan, that actionable plan that's actually realistic for your life and where you are right now. Sometimes this can feel really challenging, or it can feel really frustrating because you want to see results as often or as fast as possible. But trust me when I say that baby steps towards your dreams is going to be so much more productive than trying to rocket yourself to amazing results overnight. And then 2 days in, you're either so burned out, so exhausted, or so disappointed that you just want to give up all over again. So don't try to suddenly triple your efforts. Instead, get focused and be realistic, so you can follow through. Number 2, don't allow yourself to get locked into a negativity spiral where when you start looking at that big vision, you just want to avoid it at all costs and you reach for a bag of Cheetos. This is what I used to do. Whenever I would think about my big vision, I would allow my mind to get stuck in this negative spiral of self-talk. Like, who do you think you are? This is never going to work. You're lazy. You don't deserve this. Everybody's mad at you. You're way behind. You've made all these mistakes. And these are the kinds of things that used to play in my head. So instead of trying to take baby steps toward my dreams, I avoided them altogether. And I would allow that negativity to continue to spiral. And this goes back to that idea of energy. And I would basically binge watched the ID channel, Investigation Discovery, and HGTV, and ate a lot of Oreos and Cheetos. And I was not moving toward my ideal life. And I was basically allowing myself to just fall deeper and deeper into depression. And I know that it's not trivial to pull yourself out of that, but I can tell you that it is possible. And if you follow the steps that I've given you about cleaning and decluttering, motivating yourself, looking toward that vision, it's going to be something that you can pull yourself out of. But if you allow yourself to continue to have that negative self-talk and continue on with negative energy or negative spiraling, it's only going to get worse. So try to stop that negative self-talk in your brain and instead reach for things that inspire you, and then start small. Because the more you put so much on your plate, I got to change overnight, I got to be my best self, the more pressure you're putting on yourself, and the more you're just going to invite those negative things back into your self-talk. And instead, try building positive momentum one tiny baby step at a time. Number 3, don't look to others for comparison. This is a huge don't. When you're in this phase of trying to get yourself back on track, it's awesome to look to people who inspire you. I hope that I'm one of those people. Look to YouTubers, to podcasters, to books that inspire you, music, movies, things that make you feel good. I can do this, I can conquer the world. But if you come across someone on social media or someone on YouTube or wherever it is, it could be a friend, it could be your parent, it could be your spouse, whoever it is, if you come across someone that makes you immediately feel negative, I can't do this, look at her, she's so much more beautiful than I am, look at her, she's got her house all together and she's got all this money and the car that I want, and I'll never have that. If someone triggers negative self-talk or comparison in a bad, negative way, right now, when you're trying to get yourself back on track, it is imperative that you block yourself from that type of energy as much as possible. Now, the person you're looking at may be lovely, may be amazing, but if they're triggering feelings for you of feeling worthless or not good enough, and you're feeling that comparison, then it's okay to stop following that person, stop talking to them for a little bit. You don't have to be rude, but just stop talking to them about the things that matter to you. If your husband is always telling you you're never going to write that book, then stop talking to him for a little while about the book, and instead just just center in on the people that believe in you and focus on yourself in that case. I know that can be hard, and I could talk about this more, but basically what I'm saying is if anybody's triggering feelings that make you feel negative or worthless about yourself, or like, oh, I'm doing everything wrong, and make you kind of want to get off your own path or doubt your own path or your big vision, try to distance yourself from those people. You will thank me for this later. And number 4, don't in this list is don't give up. You can't ask perfection for yourself. That's asking too much. You're not going to go from 2 years of not writing to suddenly writing every day, 5,000 words, and it's the best story you've ever written in your life. Like, that's not realistic. But what might be realistic is to say, okay, I haven't been writing much for the past 2 years, but I'm going to check in with this vision. I'm going to clean my space. I'm going to get my new notebook full of ideas and get so inspired. And then I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes every single morning before work, and I'm going to get started. And think about the momentum that can cause over the course of a full month, having an entire notebook filled with ideas, having your first 10,000 words again on a novel you started 2 years ago. Oh my gosh, think of the power of that kind of positive momentum in your life right now. You don't have to go from 0 to 65 in, 1.5 days. You cannot expect yourself to be perfect. Allow yourself grace. Get yourself inspired, make a plan that's realistic, and then get to work. 30 minutes a day, you can start changing your life. The key is don't give up, don't stop. If you've been in a place for the past few years where you are in a negative spiral and you felt that negative energy, you may be successful today getting yourself back into a good place and making your plan. But tomorrow, you might fall off the wagon and have another bad day where you're feeling really negative or depressed. That doesn't mean, okay, it's over, all or nothing, I'm going to quit now forever. It just means you had a bad day. And it also means it's an opportunity to wake up tomorrow and make it a better day. And then wake up the next day and have another better day. And then you might have a week of amazing days and then another bad day. And that's okay. Give yourself permission to have those bad days, but don't give yourself permission to quit. All right, guys, I hope that this Sunday inspirational off-the-cuff video has been helpful for you. This is the most proven way I've found to get back on track after years of trauma and abuse from a narcissistic mother and all kinds of issues that I've faced in my own life. These are the types of things that get me recentered, because we all have bad days. We all have trauma. We all have things that hold us back. And the key is coming up with a system that helps you get back on track and really moving toward those goals that you really were put here to go after. If you would like some help and guidance on this journey, getting back on track, creating a plan that makes you feel motivated, but that is truly realistic, and you want to end the year, Q4 of 2020, with your best, most productive quarter yet, and set yourself up for an amazing 2021, I would love to have you in our HB90 Bootcamp. We start in a week. Links are down below. Come join us, and I'll see you in there. I do have the series Q&A coming up. Like I said, I'm a little bit off track myself, but I'm going to spend the rest of today getting back on track, and you guys will see that series video coming up, the series Q&A coming up this Thursday. So I will see you then, and otherwise, have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.